All right, so we have Fury, Affliction, Prez versus Resto Druid, Feral Druid, Red Paladin. I'm going to play, I believe I'm playing Herald here. I think Herald is just much better into Warlocks because you're getting stopped so frequently in terms of like coils, fears, the warrior can stun you, and I just need really high consistent damage against a Warlock with my Feral Druid. Historically, I've been pretty hit or miss playing with Feral Druids recently. I do think Ret Feral is a pretty decent comp in solo shuffle, as long as the Feral just absolutely pumps. I've had some Ferals that just try and get too fancy with Cyclone, and I really think just, you know, treating it similar to Ret Warrior or even just a spread pressure melee cleave comp is our best bet here. So I'm going to try and get some CC outs on the healer, follow into the lock. I land a kick right here. We're just going to try and stay on him, do our best. We do have a Resto Druid who can get out the clone, so our Feral Druid really doesn't have to do too much in terms of cloning here. And I'm also playing blind at the moment. I could have played rep here, but I felt like, you know, we would be able to bait kicks enough. Honestly, maybe I should have played rep here. I'm going to try and get out a big Wake of Ashes dam, and I sack Freedom on my Feral Druid, and I'm going to wall myself in a moment here and apply Eternal Flame. Try my best to not have to use a big cooldown right here. We get a full maim on the Warlock, but I get shut down during the maim. A little unfortunate. Rest Druid dispels all dots, which is pretty nice. The Warlock jukes this right there. A little unfortunate. I still have my kick, though. Healer's locked out. Gotta make sure we're okay here. Doesn't look like I need to lay on hands my Feral at all. I do recently like using Bubble before lay on hands and saving lay on hands for a deep dampener. I'm gonna sank out the Fear, try and stay on the lock. We get a kick on the haunt. It's really good. I'm gonna freedom both myself and the Feral. Push on top of this this Warlock right here. I'm watching lay. I don't think I have to use it yet. Yeah, Feral's okay. Everyone's dying right here. Get a little swap onto the healer and a Hodge, and down he goes. Pretty good, pretty good. All right, next match here, we have Ret Warrior Prez, probably the best version of Ret Warrior. This is against Feral, Affliction, Resto Druid. Now, normally I'd say Affliction, Feral is kind of a, you know, it's a probably about equal comp to maybe a little bit on the harder side for Ret Warrior, except for the fact they have a Resto Druid. Because they have a Resto Druid, we most likely have the comp advantage right here. Resto Druids die very easily to Ret Warrior in swaps. And honestly, if we just keep swapping back and forth between the two, or even, honestly, even just training down just the Warlock, we'll probably have an advantage here. The only way that we end up losing this, and I get a double blind to stop both the clones right here and sank out my healer. The only way that we lose this is if it goes into dampening here and we are somehow down on mana and we're just getting rotted because we're getting cleaved into. Like the Feral Druid has dots on all three of us. Same with the Warlock. So our healer has to deal with a lot of pressure. So we kind of want to end this a little bit earlier. I'm going to get a full Hodge on the healer. Try and stay on the Warlock as best I can. I'm going to steed over to him. We get a Dawnlight proc on him. Trying to do as much damage as I can. Where he gets a nice Fear. The Druid trinkets out, which means the Druid is then a viable kill target. Warlock wall's super, super low. Unfortunately, though, I don't think it's going to be enough to kill him here. But he is definitely a killable target in the near future. I'm watching my bubble here. I'm probably going to press. I press. Got to make sure that we are taking advantage of all our cooldowns here. I noticed the Druid does not have Trinket, and I Hodge him. I should have swapped here instantly on the Hodge with the Warrior, but the Warlock also did not have Wall. Warlock sack packs. That's fine. Next turn, I think I'm going to try and swap to the Druid and kill him here, especially since now he does not have... Yeah. We're kicking him. We're going Druid here. Try and not get juked by the Druid. Be a little unfortunate. I'm going to freedom myself and the Warrior. I think the Warrior sees that I'm trying to go to the Druid here and he's going to follow him. This guy should die. He has like nothing left. Yep. We're just tabbing to the Druid and down he goes. Yeah. Resto Druids are really easy to kill after they're out of cooldowns. They just don't have the healing. Alright, so Affliction Ret. This is probably the hardest matchup of the lobby for me in particular because it's two melees on top of a Affliction Warlock that also cleave. I'm going to use Hodge offensively because I see that there was an unstable affliction on the druid. Force the resto druid to dispel here. I'm going to sack my Warlock right here. And by the way, this game I'm playing Templar. I do think Templar is better into melee cleaves, especially if the melee cleaves don't have any pets. So we're just going to try and pump as much damage as we can. We get a nice lockout on the resto druid. I do have a Hodge coming in. I'm just going to continue trying to pump as much damage as I can. I sank the Rake stun and then swap on the warrior reflect. I can't sank the fear, but it does look like it breaks. Trying to do as much damage to the feral as I can. I have a Hodge on top of the dots right here. Resto druid dispel silences himself. We're getting a stable affliction right back up. I'm going to try for a rep here, but I get cloned on the rep. We get a sleep though, which is really good. Full sleep onto the healer. I have some damage coming out right here. I proc and Final Reckoning, and I have a Wake of Ashes. Gonna do so much damage to this Feral Druid in a second. Might swap it over to the Warrior. On the Warrior hard. I do have Bop here, so I'm gonna Trinket Bop, which honestly isn't the worst thing. The lock trinketed coiled, but I think my Trinket Bop had to happen right there. Our healer still has this Trinket too, which is really good, and I still have Lay on Hands, and we have Communion, so we're actually looking pretty up right now. The rest of Drew is really struggling. He has he just tranks right there, so we could swap to him in a Hodge in the future. Trying for rep here. I actually land a full rep on the Druid, was not paying attention, and that should be the end of the Feral. That's why I like playing rep even into Druids. Rep is just such an unexpected ability from rep Paladins. I'm sure it's going to be like a lot more popular next season, but I swear at the top of the bracket, like every ret runs Repentance, and I can see why. I'm playing Herald again here. I'm gonna get a full stun on the Resto Druid and start tunneling into this Warlock here. My Feral Druid's tearing apart the Warrior, and I believe I have a dot on him. We get an 8-second sleep on the Druid, and a half name. Trying to go Druid, but I just have so much pressure on this Warlock here that I'm going to hit him for a little bit longer, and I'm going to swap off the Iron Bark onto the Warrior right here. I have a big Wake of Ashes coming in, lots of damage here. I'm going to keep splitting it around onto all the DPS because that's also what my Feral Druid's doing right here. I have a full Hodge for the Resto Druid. He has no Trinket. We're going to try and get as much damage into him as we can. Watching cooldowns right here. I sank the Bolt on my healer, and I'm swapping to the Lock. Maybe should I lay here? Gets full feared. He rewinds though, so we're really good. That was a really good pre-rewind. I bopped the fear anyway, probably not super necessary. That was probably like an overcommit of cooldowns for me for sure. Did not need to emergency bop off. But so far we're good. We're good. I still have lay and I still have bubble. I'm gonna lay the Feral Druid right here because my healer's in a full clone. I have wall for myself. I'm gonna wall. Just continue trying to go on the Lock. He jukes me right here, which is my bad. This is probably the worst round that I played so far in the entire shuffle lobby. We use Commune, so now the last saves I have are just only for myself, but they're also taking a lot of damage here. Unfortunately, the healer's Trinket is coming back, so we likely can't really swap on him. He tranks though. I'm gonna swap, get a Hodge on him. He trinkets immediately, so now the healer is a swappable target in the future. Honestly, my Feral could probably solo him if it came down to it, but he's just running away from the Warrior right now. I'm looking at bubble, watching. Don't think I quite need to just yet. Our healer just has absolutely no cooldowns though, so I have to make sure that I keep him out. I sank him out of the fear as fast as I can into a Wake of Ashes here on the Warrior. Warrior's looking nice and juicy. Down goes the Warrior. Whew, this is a fast-paced lobby. I love games like this. All right, so again, this is probably the hardest matchup. I think Prez can keep Affliction alive a little bit longer than this Resto Druid here. Resto Druid healing a Warrior Feral is just brutal. I'm going to start with a Hodge on top of the Feral Druid right here, and once again, I am Templar into the double melee cleave. I swap off of the Time Dilate, we get the Warrior's Wall, so I swap off the wall again back onto the Feral Druid, trying to go him as much as I can. I sank out the bash on the healer, and we're just tunneling this Feral down, watching for swaps on any other DPS when my Affliction Warlock begins to get pressure. We get a rep, I was going for a rep out of that bash, but I get Meld Rake stuns here. We get a nice clone on the healer, that's pretty cool. Big Hammer of Light here, cleaving both of the melee down. Full Hodge on the Druid. He gets Veened at a pretty low HP and then cloned, which is really good. Going the Warrior. Warrior's coiled here. Trinkets out. I get a full rep on the healer in front of my face. No one stops it again. Rep coming in clutch. Don't have Sank quite yet for the Fear. So I'm not going to get it. I sack the Warlock. I still have cooldowns to help us live here. I'm going to lay the Warlock. Bubble myself. Getting shattered here. A Hodge, but a little too late here. A little unfortunate. Playing a tiny bit sloppy this lobby too. But we are doing a lot of damage. The Feral Druid uses his survival instincts, so he's definitely a killable target now. He's going to hammer damage into the Feral Druid. I have a full Hodge coming in for the guy in a second, but I get a rep out of the Fear. Maybe we can end here. I'm going to trinket this into a Wake of Ashes, Hammer of Light, try and finish off the Feral Druid. He gets Veened very, very low. I have full Hodge for the healer coming up. Freedom. I missed my kick. I should have just Hodged. Why didn't I just Hodge? I'm so bad. Did he have null? I can't even see. He may have had null. I don't know. Maybe that was my thought process. Or maybe my thought process was just holding it for the unstable affliction. Either way, my Resto Druid is definitely struggling healing us right now. This comp, Feral Druid, Fury Word, so much damage into poor Warlocks here, but looks like we are able to fortunately finish off the Feral Druid. It's a close game. Alright, so we're going to go on the Warlock here. I also think I mentioned that I might like swapping onto the Prez sometimes. Like, Prez is a decent kill target for this comp as well. But honestly, I'm just ready to send it down on the Warlock. Warlock takes infinite damage from this comp here. But they also deal a lot of damage too. I'm going to lay myself. I didn't have a lot of cooldowns rolling on me right there. And a full Hodge on the healer. Trying to rep out of my Hodge here. I get a full rep. He Stormbolts. There's the Emerald Communion. A Wake of Ashes right here. Lock is low. Walls. Down he goes. All right, that was a pretty sick lobby. 6-0'd. Only 406 million damage, but that's kind of to be expected. I swapped up my builds quite a bit this lobby. I really do like playing Herald into Warlocks and Assassination Rogues. Any comp that can really shut down Hammer of Light. And then into double melee Templar Shines for sure, because your Shake the Heavens is actually cleaving on them. And your Hammer of Light is also cleaving on them. But if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.